Hello, welcome back. I'm Noreen Burke from The Crafty Organizer, and today I'm really excited to bring you a no-tool, budget-friendly cabinet organizer that acts as a pull-out for any cabinet. Let's get started. Before I get started, I want to say a quick thank you to all of you who left messages and gave so much amazing feedback to the collaboration that I got to do with the Posh Paper Lady. If you had not seen that yet, the description is down and below. Definitely check it out. We had so much fun doing it, and I hope that we'll get to do one again someday. If you have a cabinet that seems to be deeper and you lose things in the back all of the time, then this video is for you. So often I go into homes and the reason that they're disorganized isn't because they haven't tried, they haven't gotten bins, they haven't folded things neatly. It's because the way the cabinet is set up, it is intended to lose things in the back. So I've come up with a way to make a pull-out drawer so that you get access to everything without having to cut into the cabinet, without having to get tools or expensive slides. So here's what I want to do. The first thing to do is measure the opening of your cabinet. It doesn't matter how wide it is on the inside. This system is contingent on how wide the opening is. And unfortunately, I have seen cabinets that have a tiny opening, and then once you get past that opening, it's spacious. Regrettably, this system will not work well for things that are open on the sides. The sink underneath my kitchen, as a matter of fact, has a tiny opening, and then it more than doubles on the inside because it's a corner cabinet. So if you still choose to use this type of system, I'm going to suggest what I recommend is having those very least used things in a container off to the sides. Oftentimes I'll recommend that you tie a ribbon to it and then string the ribbon around towards the front with a little note on it saying what's inside. This will help to not only not forget what's in there, but you can just pull on the string and bring it forward to you and make it easier to retrieve those items that are tucked into those hard to reach corners. The system that I use is just a simple 28 or 40 quart Sterilite bin. You can find these at Walmart, Target. They're not a specialty item, and they're usually right around $5 to $7. If your cabinet is really deep, that's when I go for the 40 quart. Those are the ones that are typically under the bed storage. But I found most homes I go into, when there's one of those strange pantries that are a little bit deeper, the 28 quart is the perfect size. But again, measure your opening, and anytime you see a Sterilite label, it will tell you the dimensions on the outside, so it will be easier to find something that fits your needs while you're shopping. But here's an example of my pantry. The cabinet is almost 2 feet deep, which means that everything's accessible up front, and that's great, but everything behind that front layer is lost. You either have to knock things over to get to it, or you just forget about them. So I had done this system before, but I wanted to show you what it looked like before I implemented this system, just to show you what we were working with. So the first thing I do is get those likes with likes. I know that makes me a broken record, but by breaking things down, much like you would find at a grocery store, will help you to organize your supplies. For me, I decided each shelf was going to be its own zone of foods. I did put down some new shelving paper, and here's a trick for sometimes when that shelving paper does not want to stick, is I will put a strip of shipping tape just along the front and then tuck it underneath. What this does is it protects the shelf because these are going to be gliding in and out of a shelf. So you do want to either protect the shelf or just get some felt strips and glue them to the bottom of your tub. This will protect the shelves from getting marred after use of time. Now, I opted to only have the lining paper towards the front just for the visual. I have clear contact paper on all of my shelves already. This makes it so that they're super easy to clean out whenever I want to, but they don't discolor over time. But I did want that little pop of color with the black and white shelving paper. Now, the other tip I want to give is whenever possible, decant or take out the loose items from a box and combine it into a container. This really frees up so much space. You don't realize how many boxes you have and how much space they're taking up until you finally start emptying them out. So here's an example of my snack bin. I've got all of our beef jerky, our popcorn, our applesauces all together. Now, you know I'm a big fan of labeling things. I happen to like the look of it. I think it also helps my family members, though, when they're looking for something, they remember, oh yeah, it's going to be in this section. But when we're all putting groceries away, it's easy to remember where to put things. A trick that I like to use is if you have one of the Brother label makers that I love so much, one of the tapes I really like is black tape with white lettering because I can use it on my chalkboard labels and I love the look of that. I think it's much neater than my handwriting with chalk on there. But the other nice thing is if I change what's inside, I could just layer another label right over it and it looks just as good as when I first created it. Now, the other reason I like labeling and putting down this little pop of color with the contact paper is psychologically, there's something about having an area that looks neat and tidy. It makes you want to take that extra second before you throw something in to keep that aesthetic. Now, I know I get comments from you guys all of the time saying, what about my family members? I can't get them on board. I am telling you, if I could come up with a suggestion on how to get your family members on board, I would already have that RV and be traveling around and meeting you guys. So that's a tough one. What I always say is, in a caring way, try and explain to them not only how the clutter makes you feel, explain the system and why it works. Why is a big factor for some people. If they understand the why, oftentimes they're more inclined to follow through on it. So if something already looks neat and tidy, it just gives you that extra push to stay on top of it. So here is my cabinet all done, and this has been working for us for years. So this was just a refresher on it. I did add another category, but right now I have treats, snacks, I have my dry goods, which are all my pastas and anything that goes with a pasta. I have all of my canned goods together, any breakfast items, and then I've left the bottom just with a larger bin for those overflow items. I know my back stock is down at the bottom, but these slide right out. I get access to every inch of my cabinet and I can just slide it right back in. This makes for such an easy system. And the other thing I love is when it's time to clean, I could just take the entire bin out, go through it, quickly check my expireds, wipe out the cabinet and put it right back in. And when we move, I am leaving this cabinet exactly like it was when we moved in. But even if I moved into a home, I know those shelving units that you can put in that are pull-outs with the drawers are not that budget friendly. So I would probably still opt for this as my solution for pull-out storage. This can be applied to any cabinet that you have that's a little bit deeper. So when you're looking around your home and you find a cabinet that's not quite staying organized, consider this option as a pull-out shelf so that you have easy access to everything and it stays neat and tidy. I get asked about this so often, so I know this was a quicker video, but I wanted to show you just how easy it is. The hardest part, honestly, is deciding what kind of bin you want and finding that size and then putting the felt along the bottom. And I can't stress the importance of that little part enough. It really does protect your shelves, but it also makes it super easy for that to glide in and out. And you don't have to buy those expensive glue-on or sticky type. Just buy a single piece of felt. They're usually around $1/4 at your craft store. Cut it into strips and just put one at each one of the front and back corners. That's all you need. If you're struggling with any areas of your home to get organized and decluttered, leave me comments. I love being able to come up with solutions for you, answering them, and they make great new videos because if you're having a struggle with it, chances are a fellow viewer is as well, and I love to be able to help with that. I want to say thank you to my patrons who allow me to make these videos. They are such a huge help and are allowing me to just get more creative and advance my skills with these, but also getting me closer to that RV so that I could start traveling around and meeting you. I'm also getting closer. I think right now I'm about 12,000 away from hitting that 100,000 mark on YouTube. When I first started almost 5 years ago, I really did it just as a selling tool to help with my clients, to give them tips for people who couldn't afford to hire me or people who didn't have accessibility to me. I just wanted to be able to give them an additional tool to help them get organized. This was a fun thing to do. It gave me a great creative outlet, and when the pandemic hit, it became my only source of income. So I cannot tell you how much I genuinely appreciate you watching, clicking, subscribing, commenting, sharing. All of those things help me so much. So thank you very much for coming along with me on this journey. Bye.